Hi everyone, it's Tiffany with Ready, Set, Create. Welcome back to my 12 by 12 Days of Christmas, where I'm showing you 12 days of tips, tricks, and techniques for your holiday scrapbook layouts. Today's day 7. Let's get started. I'm using papers from the Elegant Moments collection. This was an advisor exclusive, and I have just one full sheet left and then a few scraps. So I'm just taking a look at the scraps and measuring them to see what I have left and what I can do with those. And I'm going to cut a little sliver off of this one so that it's an even 3 inches. And then I'm going to turn it and cut the length to 9.5, and then trim that paper in half so that I have two 1.5 by 9.5 inch pieces. And then I'll do the same thing with this scrap. I'm going to trim it to 9.5 and then make two 1.5 inch pieces. And now I'm going to take those papers and put them together in pairs and line that first pair up on my trimmer along the 90-degree angle so that the top left corner of that paper hits the cutting line. And then I'm just going to trim right on that line so that I have a 90-degree angle at the end of my paper. And I'm going to set those little triangle scraps aside and save them for later. And I'm repeating that process with the second pair of papers, but I'm flipping them over to cut that angle on the reverse side. And it's important that you remember to do this. You want two cut in one direction and the other two in the other direction. So that's why I paired them up and then flipped one over. And again, just saving those little triangles. And I'm just grabbing this piece of blue paper that was from my stash, and I'm going to start adhering these papers down. And it would be a good idea to use repositionable in case you need to adjust these as you're placing them down. I'm trying to think of what direction they need to go in. Basically, I'm going to line each one up so it's about a quarter inch from the edge of the paper on the bottom and on the side as well. And so I'm just going to put these down quickly, just dry fitting them where they need to go and getting the placement right before I adhere them down. And tonight's layout, if I didn't mention, is inspired by the song God Rest You Merry Gentlemen with the line comfort and joy. So I'm building this kind of quilt inspired background that makes me think of comfort. So that's where these pieces are coming from. There's kind of a quilt-inspired layout. So each one of these strips, you're lining the flat end up with the angled end of the previous strip so that they're just fitting together, kind of like a little puzzle. And like I said, about a quarter inch from the edge all the way around. So I just have to readjust that first piece because I didn't place it far enough away from the edge. So I'm just adjusting that. And now I'm going to grab my ruler and measure the inside square. And I think my measurement ended up being at about 7.5 inches. So I will grab my full sheet of paper and trim that to a 7-inch square to fit in the center. And this paper has lines on the reverse side, so I am going to trim it on the line side so that I can see, because I want to save that paper for my title. So I just want to make sure I have a chunk going in the right direction that I can use for my title. And then that other piece, I will use the solid side to fill in that center square. And this is that full-size piece of paper that I had from the Elegant Moments collection. So I'm adhering that in the center, and then I'm going to grab those triangles that I had trimmed off of the strips and adhere those down. And just kind of deciding where I want each one to go so it's opposite of the matching paper. Just so that each pattern is not against the same pattern. So now I have my 4 triangles there, and I'm just kind of figuring out the placement for my title. I know that I want to use this stripe, the reverse of that gold paper, and I have some blue stickers that I'm going to use for my title, and I'm just grabbing 3.5 by 5.5 inch photo placeholder to pop down there. So if you saw my Joy to the World layout a few nights ago, I pulled out these blue stickers thinking I might use them, and they were the wrong color blue. But I've had them out on my table, and I thought, oh, tonight would be the time to use them. I've had these stickers in my stash for probably 6 years. I think they came from the Hip Kit Club, and they're a nice puffy sticker. I like the font. It's a little bit different. I'm kind of tall and skinny. So I'm going to spell out comfort with these letters. The blue doesn't match perfectly, but I'm okay with that. I like the blue on this layout. Now I don't have an R left. This set of letters did come with a lot of extras, but I've been using them for several years, so I'm out of R's. So what I'm going to do is take this P and just trim a bit of the curve from the P, and it will make kind of a lowercase r. And this is a great technique to use when you're trying to use up those letter stickers. See if you can turn the number 3 into an E, or trim something off of a letter to turn it into something else. I can usually figure out a way to make use of some of those extra letters. And then this little alphabet set is their foam letters from American Crafts, and they're a navy blue. So again, they don't quite match, but it's okay, it all works. I'm going to spell out and joy, and I'm just justifying that to the right, so I'm spelling it backwards. But I like these little letters. I like combining fonts when I'm doing a long title. I will often use a couple different letter stickers, or I'll do some stickers and some handwriting, just to give it a little bit of interest. So there's my title, and now I'm just going to, I think I'm going to grab my paper trimmer. Yeah, and again, my photo trimmer is still upstairs in my card making station, so I'm using my older trimmer that still works great. I'm going to have to turn it around because those puffy stickers don't fit under the guard there. So I'm going to turn it around the other way and just snip off that excess from that paper. And now it's just a matter of dressing up that title and dressing up the layout a little bit, but you can kind of see the basic layout really quick and easy to make. And so I think I'm grabbing my ribbon. Oh, and I've got my foam, so I'm probably going to pop that up on foam. And again, I like to use craft foam like this when I have a big chunk to use, rather than my individual foam squares and using a whole bunch of them. I'll just use a big chunk of foam to cover up that whole area. Now I'm grabbing my ribbon because I want to add a bit of ribbon to the end of the title, but I want to do that before I add the foam. And there's my whole big drawer of ribbon, and I know somewhere in there there's gold, and there it is. This is a gold ribbon that I pulled off of a gift basket a couple of years ago, and I just wound it around a cardboard tube. I often will save gift basket and gift bag ribbons if they're really beautiful ribbons. I hate to throw them away, and so I'll save them and just put them in my ribbon stash like this. So I just wrapped it around a spool and put a little bit of masking tape on it to hold it down. So I'm trimming just a really small piece, but this is very wide ribbon and it's really too wide for this title. So I'm going to end up folding the ribbon in half just to make it fit a lot better with the proportions of the title. And I use my tiny attacher to stick that down on the title. I love using my tiny attacher for an extra bit of texture, and it's a great way to hold ribbon down securely. So I've trimmed that ribbon down, and now I can add my craft foam to the back of it. And one side is self-adhesive, so it's really easy to stick it down. Just peel that off, and then I'll add some liquid adhesive to the rest of the foam, and then I can put it in place on the layout. I have a few embellishments left in the embellishment pack that came with this little mini kit, and I'm going to try to use as many of them as I can because I'm really getting to the bottom of this stash. So there's a little tag there. I can't remember what it says, maybe Simple Pleasures. I don't remember. I'll have to look at the close-up of it. So I just put that little tag there. And then there's just a couple little tags. There's this circle with the gold on it. This tag has some gold on it. And I'm just going to make a little cluster above the title with a few of those embellishments. Trying to use them up so that I don't have to save these in my stash any longer. I decided on this cluster with the tag and the circle. And then I'm going to add that little floral embellishment over it. And I like that these have the gold foil. It really goes with the gold in the ribbon too. And then this little cluster of gold flowers, I'm just going to tuck over on the side under my photo. I ended up adding another photo place card above the title. You don't see it here in the video. I added it later, but in the stills that I will share with you, you'll see where I added that. So now I'm just grabbing this kind of blue-gray pen, and I'm going to outline each one of the strips just to add a little bit of interest to those strips. They were feeling a little dull to me, so that aligning is just a quick and easy way. It's one of those things that I love doing, and I do on almost all of my layouts. You could use a ruler for this too if you were worried about it being precise. I don't worry about it too much. I have a pretty steady hand, so it usually comes out just fine. And you could easily translate this to a double page spread. You would just make your pieces be a little bit longer so that they would carry across the 2-page spread, and it would make a really nice look to do it that way as well. So if you did maybe, I think these are 9.5 inches long, so maybe if you did 10.5 inches, that would probably work well to spread the design across the 2 pages. And I'm just outlining those photo corners as well. Once I had done the strips, it just looked like the photo corners needed some of that outlining too. So got those outlined. And that's going to be it for that layout. Thank you so much for joining me for another 12 by 12 Days of Christmas. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.